Oh, boy, is it good to be back. We're back. Season 2, episode 1. This is a Full Tilt Dynasty podcast.
I wasn't prepped on the finger
weren't
guns.
prepped on the finger snap.
I'm starting off the new season bad.
See, I realized that I saw you do the finger guns, and then I was like, I'm going to do the finger guns, and I forgot that I have chapstick in my hand, so that's why I had, like, weird finger guns. But anyway, I'm going to make sure to moisten up my lips so that I can talk some snack about football.
I just laughed, and with the light coming from under my desk, I felt like I looked like a Disney villain.
Hope no one's that lactose intolerant with all the cheese flying around already this morning, or I guess this evening. Oh my God. This is not your standard time for the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. We were running Fridays at 6 Central Standard Time, and well, that's not going to operate for us this offseason. We're going to get into that. I am, of course, your host with the most time on his hands. I'm Thomas Tipple, FF. With me, as always, is Big Billy, FF. He's over there to my screen right, and down below is the whiz kid himself, FF_RTDB, the man of many stats. Gentlemen, this is our second season. We're going to do things a little bit different. The offseason for us is a little more casual. Jacob's cracking a cold one. I got my cold one right here.
Look, it's the late show now. You know, we used to do this at like a pre-dinner hour. Now it's like a nice little saucy cocktail hour. Especially for me, right? I'm on the West Coast, so this is 6:30 for me. I mean, our show used to kick off at 4:00 my time, so
that's rough.
It was, a little too early to start drinking.
Right. So for us over the next 6 weeks, look, the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about some of the playoff stuff, some implications, some coaches get hired, some players get yeeted, some things are going to happen. We're going to talk about that. But after that, we're kind of going to break down processes, what actually took place in fantasy, what to look forward to. And that's what before we get into our draft coverage, which of course last year kicked us off as a great hit for us. We're going to have another great live draft show. It's going to be fantastic. More great guests, all that fun stuff. Can't wait. But today, gentlemen, not only did we learn some new things about the NFL coaching carousel, we learned something new about our co-host. We learned something new about Big Billy FF. Apparently, when Ben McAdoo showed up on the show sheet today, Billy actively thought that Ben McAdoo was an analyst on Twitter that he hadn't heard of yet, and thought we were bringing him onto the show today, unaware that Ben McAdoo, now offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, was the head coach of the New York Football Giants. Oh my goodness.
Get it out. No.
Explain.
So I want to start off before anyone discredits me for not knowing anything about football. I nailed all my picks this last year. So let me throw that out before I continue. But I was talking with Jacob about this. I didn't really follow football up until about 2017, about 2018, when I joined a work fantasy league because I just needed to, they needed a 12th in our league, so I joined and fell in love with it. I've always been statistics, probability based, that's always interested me. And I joined in fantasy, fell in love with it, and then met these assholes through the Foot Clan board.
Mm-hmm. Right. I couldn't imagine. I thought he was a Twitter analyst that you don't know. Look, for anyone new to the show, new to the podcast, new to the group, we're just a group of guys that found ourselves in a bunch of leagues together. Started a little bit to talk shit to our league of record that we reference here on the show, and it became what it is today. And now we've been fortunate enough to spread out and work for multiple companies across the fantasy football landscape. And here we are for season 2 with all of you. Couldn't have done it without you. Look, you're going to want to stay tuned. If you haven't bailed already, that's on the people that have bailed, but you're going to want to stay tuned because we're going to talk about what's happening with the Saquon Barkley signed Penn State jersey. And I'm going to drop a little bit more information on the 12 league charity event that we have yet to totally name. So we're working on that.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, shout out Dave. He's here up in the chat over here.
He refers to you by their Twitter name. It's okay, Big Billy FF.
About Billy. Yeah. I also love that because it's Big Billy, It's like calling me fat man a little bit.
Oh my God.
Which is my name. It's fine.
Fat man is not your
named
name.
Billy, right? He could be calling you fat woman.
True.
Billy
Me,
Hall.
I'm not.
Look, so I talked about how the offseason is gonna go. We're gonna, like, guys, let's kick it off. Obviously, the weekend was unbelievable. What a tale of 2 days, right? We had Saturday, which was hard to watch. Pour one out for our man Billy. Sadness.
Right, never mind. I'll do that during the break.
Yeah,
sadness.
Good game for the special teams truthers, though.
What an unbelievable game for the special teamers and Jimmy Garoppolo, who orchestrated the game-winning drive. The game was tied, and Garoppolo picked his way through the Swiss cheese.
Yeah, by handing off on 3rd and 7.
Led, doesn't matter how it happened. He led. He got them in position to win the game, and he won the game. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the NFC Championship game, and then of course we had. What was the other brutal game? The Titans-Bengals game. Oh my God!
Yeah.
9 sacks, 3 picks. Ryan Tannehill just tried to lose that game. I don't know what that was about.
Bad. Well, I mean, the Tannehill, 2 of them weren't his fault, right? 2 of the picks weren't his fault.
They're still thrown like trash.
I would say 2.5 were. Like the one on the very first play was clearly his fault. He stared down.
That one absolutely was.
The route. Second one was 100% his fault. Hilton jumped the route on the screen pass, and he threw it directly to him, 5 feet in front of him. And then the next one, I mean, I think Westbrook-Akine deserves a lot of the blame on that one. He was open. Yeah. He should have boxed out his position and grabbed it. But to be fair, if you're Ryan Tannehill, like in that situation, do you really want to throw to a covered Nick Westbrook-Akine, in the game on the line? Like I'd probably be looking at it as like, okay, is AJ open? Is Julio open? Neither. Throw it in the stands. Like
I think it was like, where's Eli Apple? Like I think that was more like, where's Eli Apple? And then it just so happened Eli Apple made the play of the day. And can we also just mention Eli?
Yeah,
Apple,
I was gonna talk
Eli
about
Apple
it.
is currently getting dragged by pro athletes all over the Bird app. Not just NFL players, NBA. I'm pretty sure baseball players gone. Sean Payton took a dig at Eli Apple.
Because Eli Apple came out and like insulted the fan bases of the Saints and Giants.
He's like, I don't know which fan base I hate more, the Giants or the Saints.
And all these people are coming out and they're like, man, shut the fuck up, Eli Apple.
I think there's even a player's like, yeah, we're really having a hard time replacing your 2 interceptions in 25 career games. It's like,
I legitimately didn't know that he was still in the NFL until this weekend.
Yeah.
I thought he'd washed out of the league.
100%. And then, of course, we get to Sunday. Right. And what a day of ball. We thought we were going to get the new Atlanta Falcons, right? 27-3. Tom Brady is down to the Rams. And then I don't know, like I know Wink Martindale got fired, but I don't know if he was hired by Tampa Bay because they ran a corner blitz in man coverage and blew the game. They blew the game on that one play, and Matt Stafford does his thing. Feel great for him. I got flashbacks. If you remember the fake spike touchdown when he's running down the field saying spike it, I got those vibes when he was running down the field telling it. I was like, please don't throw it and don't run a QB sneak, Dallas. And they, oh my God, the Dallas play. And they got the kick. So Rams moving on. Fantastic. Then, of course, we got the real game, like the game. If there was a game of games, look,
certainly one of the best games Billy's ever seen because he just started watching football this weekend. But
yeah, hey, you also saw crazy enough that those games by the quarterback still weren't the best game by an NFL quarterback this season. That game belongs to a guy over there in Baltimore. But aside from that, look, one of the greatest games I've ever watched. 13 seconds.
Yeah,
it took 13 seconds for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to go ball game. Right, just absolutely unbelievable turn of events.
Isn't the stat like the Dak Prescott rush to end the game was 14 seconds?
Yeah. I know. And can we just give a huge shout out to Andy Reid for not yeeting all his timeouts for once. I thought there was at least 4 times. I thought there were 4 times where they were going to call a timeout, and I was like, that's going to screw you in this game.
Yeah,
character growth, man.
He had so many opportunities to call a timeout. Like, I wonder if Patrick Mahomes was like, I swear to God, you walrus-looking fuck, if you call these timeouts, I'm coming for you.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was awesome game. My mom came down, so I got COVID just after my winter break. So I ended up staying in Winnipeg a little longer in isolation mode. And this was my last night in Winnipeg. My mom comes down. She's like, "Oh, I'll watch the end of the game with you." I was like, "Mom, you want to watch the NFL?" And she was like, "Well, I want to see before you go." I was like, "All right, feel free." So I watched the last 2 minutes of the game with her. I was like setting the stage of what had happened.
That's why that game really happened.
Yeah, and Buffalo had just scored. So I was rooting for the Bills. But I mean, I was rooting for the Bills, but mostly I was just rooting for a good time. And anyway, and so she comes up, and first play she watches is the Tyreek Hill play when he takes it like 70 yards. It says peace to defenders who are in front of him at the time.
That dude is something else.
Anyway, and she's like, "Oh, like, aren't you more upset you're for the Bills?" I was like, "Nah, they scored way too much time." I was like, Josh Allen's absolutely scoring in the next drive. And then Allen scored, and I was like kind of not like doing anything. She was like, "Why aren't you celebrating? They just won." I was like, "Yeah, you haven't seen enough of Patty Mahomes, man." I was like, 13 seconds is plenty of time. I was like, they're going to do the prevent defense, and they're going to give them 2 15-yard completions at 0 resistance, and then they're going to try and see if they can kick a field goal. And yep, that's what happened. Just yeet the prevent out of existence. I said this on Twitter. We can talk about the overtime rules till the cows come home, and I totally have opinions on that. But if there's one thing that the NFL does dumb that I would want to get rid of for life, even more than the overtime rules, it's the prevent frickin' defense. It sucks.
It's so dumb. I don't understand how many times it has to bite teams in the back. So you've got a corner, like your outside corner, right, or left side, whatever. He's playing a deep zone because there's obviously no one there to cover. He's literally covering grass. You've got the safety over top of that, and then you've got a nickel corner covering Kelsey, and then the safety in that other corner just don't surround him. Like, and he runs a double move and it seals it. How are you not just standing? There's one guy on this side of the field. He is their like number 2, number 1 option, however you want to look at it. How are you not just standing there being like, "I fucking dare you"?
They had 2
that
guys.
Guy should be fired already.
They had 2 guys guarding 40 yards downfield when they were 15 yards from field goal range. Like, what are those guys doing? like
you think they're running a Hail Mary?
9 on 11. Like, what do they think is going to happen? Like, they're 15 yards from field goal range. They're obviously going to throw a quick slant or seam or curl or something that's 15 to 20 yards, and they're either going to throw it to Kelsey or Hill. Like, that's what's coming.
Yeah,
guard that range of the field.
Like, I don't know if they were expecting, like, the prevent defense is so dumb. Not everyone's just going to Hail Mary. What are they going to do? They're going to try to run a quick out. They had a timeout. They could use the middle of the field. They could have run a QB sneak if they wanted to. Like, I don't understand. And it's not like they have a shit kicker, right? This isn't Billy Cundiff. This isn't Aguayu. This isn't Blair Walsh, right? They have a good kicker.
Oh, God, the Blair Walsh project.
Oh, my God. I actually just want to mention, shout out to Aaron, who said, like, of all the touchdown passes, the long runs, the interceptions, the tackles, the sacks, the fumble, the field goal is the most stressful play in football.
Is there a more perfect, like, climactic play in sports? Like, outside of like a walk-off home run.
Oh, those are good.
Like, I don't think there's anything that can touch it. Just time running out.
Here's the thing.
All 4 games this weekend had a field goal go through the uprights with 0-0-0 on the clock in the 4th quarter.
I know. It's insane. It's insane. And
it was the same thing all year too.
All four games were decided on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
Like, they all were walk-offs one way or the other. Like, I don't remember a time where that happened before, since I've started to watch football. I know, Billy, it's been a short time for you, but I mean,
oh my God,
back in my day,
this was common knowledge.
I know, but it was the Ben McAdoo thing that did it for me, buddy. I'm sorry. This is going to be a gag for.
Look, I get the gist. I get the gist of what football is. I understand how it works. It's just weird, obscure people. It's
just funny that Jacob and I both can't beat you either in stats that come from those years either. It's just amazing. If you look at
watching football is an optional activity.
If you're watching the video or watching highlights that we now will have on Instagram and TikTok of these shows coming up, the Billy's monitor has a heart around Cam Akers. I got into a pretty decent squabble with somebody on the Bird app this weekend. talking about Cam Akers, and I can't believe all I posted was a video of Cam Akers making a great play around a block, fantastic play, and saying no one else in the league can do what Cam Akers is doing. And he argued that every running back could have made that play. That's not the point. Can we just say Cam Akers had a rough day, right? 2 fumbles, rough, almost cost the Rams the game. But
it didn't.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Almost, right?
Yeah.
Cam Akers looks
he won the game just like Jimmy Garoppolo.
100%. He has as much to do with the Rams winning as Garoppolo did for San Francisco. Can we just say
every single player on a winning team does well? Every player on the losing team sucks. That's how it works.
Well, yeah, they all shoulder the
153rd credit.
Exactly. Everyone do your job. But Cam Akers looks every bit as advertised as he was coming out of college. I mean, I wasn't a big believer. Jacob and Billy know this. I wasn't as in. I'm more in on him now than I was when he came out of college. He looks just as explosive, if not more.
Right? It's insane. I was debating this with someone who was trying to sell me James Robinson this past week, who was like, "Oh yeah, Akers is back in 5 months. Robinson's gonna be back on. He's gonna be back week 1 next year." Like what we've seen from him is so insanely ridiculous. Like we just need to not take data from Cam Akers in terms of Achilles anymore because he's such an insane outlier.
Do you know why he was able to come back so quick?
I saw the article from the medical team saying that it was like such a healthy Achilles or something that they were able to do the procedure in a specific way to fix it better.
Right. So they
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Achilles blew. I'm not either, but I read into it a little bit.
I play one on TV.
Nice. Akers' Achilles, when he tore, it was healthy enough that they didn't need to try to reattach the frayed parts of the tendon. They just cut lower and reattachment, and it healed a lot more solid, right? So what we're seeing with what happened with Akers, it's impossible, well, maybe not impossible, but so unlikely that we see this again.
Yeah, it's
to compare Robinson to Akers is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know, right? It's just, but yeah, I agree. Like, it shouldn't change this much, right? Like everybody talked about how unlikely it was that Akers would come back, and the fact that he has come back, that's just one data point, right? So I think, but similarly, we hadn't seen a running back of this caliber, of this level of investment, of this age, really comparable since Mikel George was 10 years prior, right? And I think like at the time that the Akers injury happened, I was saying, hey, like we should probably inject a little bit more uncertainty into how bad and how much of a death knell these Achilles injuries are, because we don't have that much data on it. But similarly, I think we should inject a lot more uncertainty into James Robinson or any future running back that has an Achilles, because we don't want to just base it off what happened with Akers, right? Like right now it is a massive outlier. If the next 5 running backs who tear their Achilles also come back in 5 months and look like they're playing well, then yeah, sure. Then we don't have to look at it as much of a death knell. But right now he's just one data point, and I totally agree. But I also think like the fumbles were terrible, obviously. But I mean, fumbles happen. They're mostly random. In terms of the production, like I see people talking about the yards. Did we forget like who they played? Like, did we forget that no one runs on the Bucs? Like we've done this the entire year, where every time a running back plays against the Bucs, we sit them. Like the only difference is that most running backs just don't get 24 carries because their team isn't up 27-3. But like, no one runs efficiently on the Bucs. The Bucs run defense was a little bit susceptible for a 3-week period when Levante David was on injured reserve. He came back in the playoffs,
and Vita Vea was hurt.
And if you look at the first 13 weeks, then the couple weeks where they have Vea and they have David, like literally nobody runs on them efficiently. It doesn't happen. I mean, a lot of Cam Akers' runs, like he was just getting swallowed in the backfield. And a lot of his runs came when they were up 24, and everyone in the entire stadium knew they were going to run the ball up the middle. And so they're just submitting to a 2-yard loss. Like you can't take anything from the yards per carry in that game.
I was most impressed that he not only coming off injury and they kept giving him the work, but he fumbled and they were like, we don't care. And he's catching passes. In our intro, if you're listening to just the audio, I pick our best tweets, right? And I post them in our intro. It's like Cam Akers is the top 5 running back in 2022. I don't think there's any doubt about that at this point. we're gonna get into more of fantasy fallout from the weekend after Billy's stat corner, but yeah, Cam Akers, big deal. So we have Philly Mike here in the chat. He says, "Yo, you guys are gonna help me with the bag. I'm Mike, and I'm here to win. I need your advice and help like last time. If you find the time, we got the time right now for the Mike. What you need, yo, if Washington left and did a new state and city like San Antonio is open, Orlando, Idaho, it doesn't have to be an NFL team or Wyoming or Dakota. I need to know what you need here, Mike. That's
what
very
a
confusing to
weird
read.
selection.
Philly Mike is just absolutely standing out here for flyover country.
Yeah,
San Antonio, 100%. Orlando, two of the very large cities, and
Right.
Idaho.
My question for Philly Mike is that there are 2 Dakotas. I just want to know which Dakota.
What if they?
I love Philly Mike. Leading in with "I'm Mike and I'm here to win" is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
We're getting asked about Washington rioters and then multiple cities that they could leave. I mean,
I think it's going to be the Washington Commanders. Wasn't that a
yeah,
leak?
me too. What? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
What
Jacob,
QB should I start in the cash lineups?
Yeah, well, I would always say what I would say for any. Okay, cash questions are boring, so I don't do a cash show, because what you should do for your cash lineups is you should get a subscription to a set of projections, and then you should play the highest projected lineup. However, at this time, early in the week, what I would guess on DraftKings at least is the highest projected quarterback option. I would guess is you play Patrick Mahomes, but I think Joe Burrow would probably be your close second.
Yeah, I'd be playing Burrow.
Yeah, well, I would just. Oh man.
But I am not I am bad at this. Do not.
Yeah, me and Billy lose money. Although, hey, just shout out, I was literally gonna win no money over the weekend, and I ended up winning double what I put in.
Gabe Davis, baby.
$50 on 25 because Gabe Davis went nuclear.
All right, we can't talk about that yet. That's
not yet.
Man, it was honestly such a DFS tilt this weekend, because like I reached through the 12 stages of grief. So I had like an okay Saturday games. Like I played only the 4 game slate, but the Saturday went overall like okay for me, where I was like, all right, I was primarily playing the Bucs and the Rams. If you want to check out my DFS content, go to playerprofiler.com for the proto principles. But I was playing a lot of Bucs Rams, so I didn't really know going in. Anyway, Bucs Rams went awesome. They scored like 57 points, and Kopp had a huge game. Evans had a huge game. Fournette had a huge game. And Stafford, put up over 30. So going into the night game, I was like, man, we're going to be doing really well. We just need this game to chill out. And it was extremely chill for 3 quarters. I went into the 4th quarter in 4th place in the 555 person spy. And I barely minimum cash. Like the 4th quarter was such an obscenely insane game. Absolutely wild. And the true tragedy is that I had Gabe Davis in so many lineups going into that game. And then I was like, he'll be chalky. So like, I'll just like swap all of the Gabe Davis off all of my lineups that are not competitive to win. Because like when you're, like any of my lineups that I'm doing well in, I'll keep Gabe Davis, right? If he's a chalky piece. But if I'm way behind, I'm going to swap to lesser owned. I mean, look, I was expected to have a decent game. I don't think anyone was expected to have 4 freaking touchdowns and 200 yards.
We're going to talk about it more, but when Tyrann Mathieu goes out and you can line up against DeAndre Baker, you better do well. So
and the crazy thing is he had 1 catch before that big touchdown?
Yeah.
That was his second catch of the game with 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Like, he put up 52 points entirely in the 4th quarter in overtime.
I know. Just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do Billy's Stat Corner. If you're new to the show, like I said, I'm going to run down how Billy's Stat Corner works. We're going to do a quick one when we come back. We're going to talk about some coaches. We're going to talk about the new Dynasty wide receiver 1 in Buffalo, Gabe Davis, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about our expectations for the rest of the playoffs to set you up for next week. Okay, sit tight. We're going to be back in a second, and we're going to get all that done. There you go, Billy. All right, look.
All right, we're back. We're back.
This is Billy's Stat Corner.
It's 0-0 again because it's season 2.
Right. So I'm gonna bring that up. So this is Billy's Stat Corner. This is a game that came to be as Billy's very good with numbers. He's the best that there is in the game at finding the most obscure random stats that seemingly always tie into MVS. And so what's going to happen is Billy's going to have a question. He's going to run it down. Jacob and I are going to try to answer this question. We have 3 strikes and we get 1 hint. I am not counting the score in the off season. All right. We're going to start the counter again during the regular season, and we play for bragging rights. And maybe we'll amp it up this year if Jacob and I win a few more. Last year, it took guys like the Podfather and Cody Carpentier and many other guests to help Jacob and I get some of these wins. So we're back. Billy, what is the question? Hit us with it right now.
All right. This stat comes from the Fantasy Footballers, partially, which I found out, and it baffled my mind. Joe Burrow did something this year that Tom Brady has never done. Tom Brady has never had multiple games in the year with more than 400 passing yards and 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
3 players since 2018, besides Joe Burrow, who did it this year, have recorded multiple games in a season with 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Who are they? I may need to reword that because I was struggling.
Reword that.
Okay. So, Joe Burrow had multiple games this year of 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also happened to do them in back-to-back games.
Right.
Only 3 other players have done that over the course of a season since 2018. Who are they?
Multiple 404 in a season since 2018.
Yes.
2018.
And not named Joe Burrow.
Not named
Joe Burrow.
All right. Well, I mean, Patrick Mahomes seems like a pretty clear guess, in my opinion.
I would guess Dak. Did Dak do it last year?
No, I don't think so. 404? I don't think he ever got to 4.
Okay, because I was just wondering because he was on pace to be the number 1.
Yeah, I don't think he did 404 twice. He definitely did 400 yards multiple times. Right. But I don't know about the 4 touchdowns multiple times.
Well, I think we could be pretty confident in Patrick Mahomes. So we're going to guess Patrick Mahomes.
Shocked.
Patrick Mahomes has done it 3 times since 2018, but never multiple in the same season.
Oh, son of a bitch. She got us again.
Wow. So not Mahomes. That's shocking.
Or he's done it 4 times, actually.
So he's done it once every year, but never twice? So as soon as he's done it, as soon as he gets his 1 in for the year, he's done.
This has now become very
who else has been super prolific in the last 4 years? Like Josh
or
Allen
just throwing the ball a lot. It doesn't mean no picks, right? So it can be
you throw as many picks.
It could be some crazy just had to do it twice. Did Ben do it?
You know who has thrown a lot of volume would be Ben.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, did you say Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we came to that.
I was wondering because he lost his season in 2019. And in 2018, he had like 50. He had 5,000 yards.
2018 was the year that he set the NFL record for attempts. So I think that's a decent guess.
And Brady just broke.
That's another decent guess.
Okay, so do you want to go Ben?
I kind of like the Ben one. Yeah,
I'm kind of in on Ben too. He's throwing the ball a lot. Well, what about Drew?
No, because Drew kind of became a lower volume guy in his late years. I think.
Not 2018 though. 18, he was still rip roaring for 5,000 yards.
I don't know about that.
19, he started to get hurt.
I'm not sure if he was thrown for.
Well, let's go with Ben. Let's go with Ben.
Yeah, I like let's do Ben here.
He seems like a guy that would have 404 and like 2 picks.
Ben Roethlisberger did not do it.
Oh my God.
He's not on my list of people who have done it. I saved some of the notable ones, but I'll have to get back to you on if he ever did it.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, can we get our hint?
Oh, for 2. Yeah, please.
All right. Big restrictive hint. None of these players are on the teams that they did it for anymore.
Jameis.
Oh.
So they're all still active, but none of them are on the team that they did it for.
Okay, so Jameis Winston feels like a good guess then.
He had to
2019 season
in the 5,000, 30 and 30. He had to have. So do you want to live or die on Jameis Winston?
Oh, wait, actually, well, okay, can we guess Tom Brady? That feels like a pretty solid guess.
I just told you in the question that Tom Brady didn't do it.
Joe Burrow did something Tom Brady never did.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, then Jameis, I think, has got to be one of the 3.
Has to be
active, and not on the current team, chucks the ball a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think we're gonna go Jameis Winston for our possible 3rd strike.
Jameis Winston. He in 2019 did it twice. In those 2 games, he had 914 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Good for him. What a legend. I remember he was on my
man.
fantasy team that year. I fucking loved
Shout
him.
out David Kelly. David Kelly
Good save.
helped us with that one. Okay, we got 2 more that we need, man.
And they're all active, and none of them play on the current team that they did it on.
Right.
Okay.
Right. All active.
So it can't be Josh Allen or Kyler or any of those guys.
It's got to be someone obscure like a backup.
Can't even be Rodgers.
Like Wentz didn't do it.
No.
And
if he did, he would have done it. If he did it, he would have done it in 2017.
Right. Foles didn't do it. Who else changed teams? Oh my God. Is there another starter that moved? Like it's either a backup or it's right. Like this is what's so pressing to me.
Yeah, Cousins started with the Vikings in 2018, so can't be him.
Can't be Cousins.
Good audio content.
So Stafford is probably a decent guess.
Stafford would be a really good guess. He could have technically even have done it this year. I'd be willing to ride or die on Matthew Stafford.
He did not do it this year, but yeah, I think in Detroit he had a couple of insane games.
Oh man. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, you know what?
I can't think of two better is the thing. I can't think of two better.
Yeah, you're right. Let's go with Matthew Stafford.
Matt Stafford did not do it.
What?
He did not.
Y'all are quarterbacks that did this shit.
So close. Y'all have the right team.
It's going to be like a Josh Johnson, David.
Oh my God! Is it Goff? Did Goff?
Y'all had the right idea with Detroit with Jared Goff in 2018, and I thought Jameis would have been a good hint. The guy who took over for him, Ryan Fitzpatrick did it.
Oh my God!
In 2018, the Fitzmagic time.
Fitzmagic and Jared fucking Goff. This is why Billy.
I remember that 2018 year when they each played like half the games, and I remember there was a stat. It was like if you combined all of Fitz's games with Jameis's games, they would have been like the QB2 or something.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I turned off my white screen, and now I'm like in darkness.
In the dark.
Yeah,
unbelievable. This is why Billy's the king of obscure statistics. When we come back. Great start.
Goff.
Congratulations, Billy, beating up the Jared fucking Goff and Fitzpatrick.
Sean McVay deserves an award for the 2018 Rams season, man.
100%.
He turned Jared Goff into the best quarterback of the NFL.
The Rams Chiefs game. I think we watched that. I think were you with us when we watched? I don't remember, but
no, that was earlier. I was at a conference in Ottawa.
I can't believe that game existed. Unbelievable. Look, when we come back, we're going to run through a little bit of the coaching scenarios, what we expect moving forward, and a little bit more. So sit tight. We're going to be right back in just a second.
I want to add one more caveat on that statistic before we jump in.
All right.
Only 2 players have done it 3 times or more. The previously mentioned Patrick Mahomes and the previously mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick. Only players to do it 3 times since 2018.
Fitzpatrick, unreal. Fitzpatrick is technically. Did you guys see Ryan Fitzpatrick was in the crowd in Buffalo?
Yeah, he was shirtless, like in the
shirtless, hanging out with the fans under the heat.
What a guy!
The guy is a legend.
He's a total legend. I love Fitzpatrick.
He's just. Did you know he went to Harvard?
Well, that's the weird thing is that nothing about his vibe is Harvard-esque. like if you didn't know he went to Harvard, which we do know because they bring it up every 5 minutes that he plays.
Yeah.
But if we didn't know that, if you hit me with a memory charm and I've been rewatching Harry Potter. If you hit me with a memory charm, and I didn't know any colleges of any players of the NFL, how many guesses would it take before you guessed Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback who went to Harvard? Infinite. It would be infinite.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Those Ivy League schools.
Look, Jacob knows the Ivy League school quarterbacks pretty well. With former Indianapolis Colts star quarterback.
No, he wasn't in the Ivy League. He went
to Stanford, not Ivy League.
Stanford's in the Pac-12.
No, it's Ivy League. It's an Ivy League classification. It is in the Pac-12 classification, but it's an Ivy League school.
No, it isn't. The Ivy League is entirely in the
Billy,
Northeast.
look it up.
How about this? We're getting even right now. If you can name all the freaking Ivy League schools, double or nothing, because I can name all their fucking asses. Pull them up.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Oh, they're in the I will apologize. They're in the second tier.
Yeah, tell me when you have the Ivy League. I'm gonna name them all, and then we're gonna make it 1-1. And I don't even want any
Okay,
freaking strikes.
we don't need to name off the Ivy League schools.
So wait, did that change some point recently? Because wasn't Stanford like I always remember?
No, so there's two tiers.
Rich people go there and they're smart.
There's two tiers. There's the Ivy League. That's Dartmouth, Brown, Harvard, all those. Then there's the next tier, which includes like all the really good schools that sit like right there, which includes Stanford, Berkeley, Caltech, Northwestern.
Technicality.
But all of the Ivy League schools are all like in this tiny little northeastern area. Like they're all in like 5 states.
Yeah, it's all New England.
Yeah.
Outside of Cornell and Columbia, which are in New York. But anyway, fucking football, right?
I was just trying to take a dig at Andrew Luck here, and it backfired on me. So shout out Jacob for knowing all of his Ivy League. I shouldn't be surprised. Look, coaches come and go, GMs come and go, but I think this year has set up some of the murkiest situations that I can remember in recent memory. Sean Payton just said, Sean Payton sat down, looked at his roster, looked at the cap situation, watched Taysom Hill, and he finally said, I'm not going to let you hold those documents over my head anymore. You're not going to blackmail me into playing you anymore, Taysom Hill. I am out. And I just have in my notes here, with Sean Payton being out, Dennis Allen would be the next man up right now if it stood. But I just want to ask this question because I was thinking about this today when I was at my normal job. Gross. You guys remember the Troy Hill hit in the playoffs?
No, right? I started watching football 2 months ago.
That beat me to it. Thanks, Billy.
Yep.
Dick, taking the fun out of it. That hit, that was clearly a defensive pass interference. I don't remember a penalty other than like the tuck rule. That's not even a penalty. That's just a rule, whatever. A call.
Oh, you mean the one against the Rams?
Yes, yeah.
I think that was Rogers Cromartie, wasn't it?
No, it was Nickel Roby Coleman.
Yes, that's the one. That's not Troy Hill. It was.
Oh my God, we're all wrong.
I don't remember a penalty impacting a franchise and yeeting it out of contention like that. They've never been back. They were never the same. They've been in a downward spiral ever since. That was clearly their last best shot. Right, Drew Brees' health declined, the roster declined, their cap situation blew up. They did everything they could to come back from it, and they were never able to. When I was thinking about our show today, I was thinking I don't remember a time where a penalty seemed like it just imploded a team's whole standing. Insane, right? Because look at that roster now. Like, there's no way a coach looks at that spot and he's like, "Yeah, I want that." Like, maybe they should go get Cully. So he can like do another one and done on a franchise that needs to.
He wouldn't even have to go that far.
Poor Cully, man.
2 hours away by driving from Houston.
Poor fucking Cully. He's not
even getting an interview right now for other jobs. It's bullshit.
I don't need to get started on that, but it's so fucking dumb that he got fired.
But no, the Saints, you're totally right. Like, I mean, I was saying if franchise quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo hadn't led a 17-point comeback, right, the Saints would have made the playoffs this year. And honestly, like if they had made the playoffs this year, Sean Payton would have been my vote for coach. I don't have a vote, but he would have been my personal opinion for coach of the year. You know, like they went 9-8. They had a game where they had Ian Book as their quarterback, which, I mean, he looked worse than Kendall Hinton playing quarterback. They had Taysom Hill, who was like one of their better options for many different games. They had Trevor Siemian, who is entirely incapable, you know, and then they had their starting quarterback is Jameis Winston, who
was good.
Like Jameis Winston was by far the best quarterback that the Saints had this year. And not a single team in the NFL even offered him a starting job when he was a free agent last year, right? And that was their best option. There were other options for Hill, Siemian, and Book. Not only that, they used more. They set the all-time NFL record for most different players used in a season. And they have like an aging roster, $70 million over the cap. The fact they made the playoffs is a testament to Sean Payton. And I don't think that anyone else can recreate that. Like their offense was horrendous in terms of their talent this year. Like they dealt with injuries, both their tackles, who are great tackles. They were both injured. They were playing sub-replacement level quarterbacks. Their leading receiver was an undrafted sophomore, Marquez Callaway. They had Traquan in and out of the lineup. They had Deontay Hardy in and out of the lineup. They were playing freaking Kenny Stills, like meaningful snaps at times of the year. He's been out of the league for a while. I mean, just a joke. And the only, literally the only playmaker they had on the offense was Alvin Kamara. Like, that's it. And you just can't operate.
He was still good for fantasy, which is pretty unbelievable.
That's just what Alvin Kamara does. His role is so well built in. I mean, he cannot be the center point of that offense and be RB6.
The Saints offense was so bad for talent, so starved of talent,
and they were still functional solely due to
traded for Mark Ingram and started him. And guess what? Mark Ingram was good for fantasy in those games. Because it's just what the backup running back for the Saints does. Shout out Tony Jones. You were really good for like a week. I had you on so many rosters. I was ready to ride or die for you. Jones. Your career's over already. So congratulations. For the record,
he's talking about Tyson Williams, not Tony Jones.
No, Tony Jones in New Orleans.
Same guy.
I was never
in on
Tyson Williams. Thank you very much. I know better. But 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Winston in New Orleans with that team. So who knows what would have happened with MT. Also, can we just all agree that MT halfway through the year looked at what was going on and was like, yeah, I hurt myself again. I'm going to sit out now.
It's definitely possible.
It's obviously not the most desired coaching spot. And what do you guys think happens? Like, if you had to look back and sit there and think what they do here, like, what do you think the real options are going to be?
So I was messaging in the League of Record chat a little bit talking about this. It seems like the threshold that teams want to be under, that they can finagle their way to be under the cap, is about $30 million. Mm-hmm. The Saints are currently $71 million over the cap. Funny that you bring that up.
Really
Dustin.
Should cover up the 4 on that jersey and just roll with the 8 more as the jersey you want.
Yeah. Funny you bring that up, Dustin. This jersey was actually a Christmas gift from my good buddy, Thomas Tipple over here. So thank you to him. I will wear this with pride. Corey Davis, my boy.
Billy's had an unusual love for Corey Davis since we've known him. Since he started watching football, really.
He won me that League of Record. That's all that matters. But the $30 million seems like the number that teams can kind of finagle their way under the cap. And I was looking it up, and they can save about $32 million by trading off Michael Thomas and Cam Jordan, which both of them have been talked about as potential trades. I don't like the idea of them moving Cam Jordan. But
who's going to want to go there? So you have no star receiver, no quarterback. You have a star running back. Your offensive line is getting older. Your okay.
Sign Dave Culley.
Give
Dave Culley the job.
I think they're going to promote Allen for sure. I mean, the reality is, like, this team has transitioned in the last few years. It used to be even in the good part of this transition, right? Like we mentioned, like 2017, they started making the playoffs again. 18, 19, 20. They're no longer the high flying, 2010 New Orleans Saints that won the Super Bowl. They've been a defense first team. Their offense has been slow, run the ball, pass short. Like, this iteration of the Saints, even with Drew Brees in the later years, was a very different team. I think Dennis Allen will get promoted. What do I think they should do? Yeah, to me, I would trade off really all these veteran assets I can and try to get whatever picks I can, because this team just is not a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They might squeak into the playoffs as a wild card at best, like they almost did this year. But to me, that's really all they can actually do. And so while these players are still high-level players who have trade value, I would be looking to get off Cam Jordan and try to get off Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. They're already probably losing Terron Armstead as a free agent this year. And then Ryan Ramczyk is a guy either you build around, but you could probably get a haul for him. I think that's what I would do. Demario Davis is another veteran, who maybe they can get something for. But like all these guys, like they're not going to be good players by the time the Saints are ready to retool around whatever their next era is. So to me, I would try to get off these. But NFL teams don't do that, right? I mean, I think that the Saints, especially if they promote Allen and they keep it internal, I think what that tells me is we're going to try and run it back for one more ride with this veteran core that we have.
I hope Sean comes back.
And that's what NFL teams do. Like NFL teams usually don't blow up their team until they go like 3-13 and everyone gets fired. Like most teams don't proactively rebuild.
Yeah.
And so I think like all the people that are expecting Alvin Kamara to get traded to the Cardinals and Michael Thomas to get traded to the Patriots, like this isn't going to happen. That's not how teams work.
No, it isn't. And
I don't see it being a desirable job. So we're
when this crash does come, it's going to be a long crash for the Saints.
So do you want Kamara next year then? Do you want to ride out Kamara next year?
Well, I think we're going to know if we want Kamara before startup season. Like I think it's
if you're like Jacob, startup season happened already. So
yeah, I mean I don't want Kamara anyway. Not like without any shot to Kamara. I love Alvin Kamara, man. I mean, former Tennessee Volunteer. I love the dude, but yeah, I mean he's a 26-year-old running back turning 27. We know the deal on these guys. Like they have one force of pressure. So anything that happens bad, whether it be an injury or inefficiency or just a run of bad games, like that puts your market value down, but it doesn't work both ways. Like you go down, and then if you do well, you just stay. Like when you get past that age at running back, you don't build your value back up. It doesn't work that way.
You got to find the right guy.
With Kamara, like I just no, I don't want Kamara. I don't see a path on this team. Like I could see him replicating this year, and this year he was fine. But for the most part, he wasn't giving you difference-making, elite RB1 production. He was giving you good, fine production. But to me, like if you're not getting absolutely elite production out of a running back who's turning 27, like what's the point? The only issue is like his trade value has gone down. So is he a guy I'm taking in startups? No. He's a guy that I primarily sold before last year or early in the year. If you still have him at this point, I would probably.
I think he's retiring on your squad.
I would probably try to wait till week 1 or week 2 because there is like a little rebound effect where once the season starts and all the old veterans that people didn't want before, they see that they're scoring points again, and then people get more interested in the vets. Yeah. And if you can trade them for a couple of weeks, especially with veteran players, like veteran players just legitimately play better in the first few weeks of the season because they're fresher and they're better. And a lot of times if they do decline, that doesn't happen until later in the season. They don't get injured until later in the season. So I would probably hold Kamara if I have him, but then try to trade him like real darn fast because I don't think he's a guy that you really want to hold long on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It'll be interesting to see. So I just want to quickly run down some of the other teams. We're not going to go that in depth on all of them because we'll be here for 27 hours. I don't really care about the Houston Texans job. That team's another mess. Just ask, Cully. But I just want to point out that they've interviewed Josh McCown, I think, twice now. A man with no coaching experience for their head coaching job.
Why the fuck not? Like, if Watson is not coming back, the Texans are playing for 2024 right now.
Yeah,
and I don't think Watson is coming back. So why not sign like a player's coach? And then let someone else make the choices on personnel moving forward.
Shout out to Maddie who got this too. I did not know this, but they've also interviewed Hines Ward, who's the special assistant to the head coach at Florida Atlantic University.
Yeah, he's the assistant to the regional manager.
That guy made Deontay Price important.
Okay, so I understand what you guys are saying, and I understand that you won't disagree with this take. But, I mean, Jesus freaking Christ. If all you're trying to do is find a stand-in players coach until you're ready to compete, you had one. His name was David Culley.
I know.
I can't.
I feel like
I can't go off on the Culley deal. Like
I don't. So to be clear, I don't think that David Culley was like some visionary head coach. It was like incredible. I don't.
He was a good coach though.
Like if you look at the fact of like some of the things that he did, like there was the one where he just like declined a penalty and like willingly punted on 4th down. Like he had a scenario where Caserio was buzzing into his headset and was telling him to let the Patriots score. He didn't understand why. Like I don't think he's like the most brilliant head coach in the world, but he did nothing wrong. I mean the team was an absolute mess. He made them competitive enough, or he at least guided them to be competitive enough. And he's and they aren't going to compete next year no matter who they bring in. So what is the freaking point? Like, let him just have continuity. It seemed like he had built the team's fighting spirit, and like the small little edges where I don't think Culley is good. just don't matter unless your team is good.
He was not even like on anyone's radar last year. Remember that? He was the Ravens wide receiver coach. I remember people coming to me and asking me, "Who is this guy?" Because I'm the resident Ravens fan, homer, whatever. I had no fucking idea who he was. I had no clue. The one position you didn't want from Baltimore was their fucking wide receivers coach. And what does he do? He gets Watson taken away from him. He gets an entire roster decimated. They trade away his leading rusher. They re-signed Rex Burkhead. And what he had Mills come in, and he has a functioning rookie quarterback that I don't know how much he was a receivers coach, so he's obviously coaching up something. He's got Brandon Cook, underrated. Davis Mills was totally underrated this year. He looked like one of the better rookie quarterbacks this season. It was weird. And they're just like, no, we're good. But anyway, moving on. Look,
we have 8 minutes left. We gotta dive into it.
We're gonna get a few more here. Okay, so I think for me, I'm saying Byron Leftwich. He's gonna be the head coach of the Jags. I'm pretty
I think
set
so
that's
too.
gonna happen.
But
Harbaugh's going to Vegas.
I'm old enough to remember when Byron Leftwich was drafted by. Did you know, Billy, that Byron Leftwich?
Oh my God!
The Jaguars.
Oh, do you understand? I have 4 monitors here. Do you think I'm like? Do you think I decided to get on a podcast not knowing jack shit?
No, but I'm gonna take a shot from.
I'm worried about the Leftwich hire, by the way. Like
I am too.
It's predictable as hell because it makes a lot of sense, right? Like he has good vibes around him. He was in Jacksonville for a long time. The franchise needs to have a good vibes hire, and he's a familiar name. I get it. My issue with Leftwich is his entire coaching experience as a play caller has been tied to Bruce Arians. We have no idea who he is outside of Bruce Arians as a play caller, right? And the system that he runs, which is essentially an offshoot of the Arians system, notoriously hard to learn and notoriously hard to execute in the first year. We even saw Tom Brady set a career high in interceptions in that system.
Every quarterback that's played in that system under Arians has set a career high in picks, going all the way back to Palmer.
You know, so he's never had an experience as a standalone offensive mind outside of Arians, and his quarterback has been Tom Brady, right? So like Tom Brady is as much an offensive coordinator as Bruce Arians or Byron Leftwich. I just think we don't really know who Byron Leftwich is outside of the offensive geniuses that he's been surrounded by. And on one hand, you can say, okay, this is awesome because he's learned from these guys and he's going to be able to take this experience to a new place. But I mean, we've seen from the myriad of Andy Reid and Bill Belichick hires that merely standing next to and learning from a great coach does not make you a great coach. And so maybe Byron Leftwich is a great coach. Like I obviously have no idea. He hasn't coached in the NFL yet. I'm not writing him off. I just think that a lot of people are looking at this as a smash home run hire. And I just have concerns because I think even if it does go well, and even if he is capable, I foresee a lot of Trevor Lawrence interceptions. And I just it's like, if I don't know, like, do you want to like break him down further? Like, I just feel like I would rather just have like a really, really easy to learn quarterback friendly offense where Lawrence can just like get his mojo back instead of, you know, an offense that's extremely difficult to learn. And he's throwing constant downfield shots that are really difficult reads. Like I just
can Mariucci come back? Like that system was easy as hell. I think it's pretty safe if Byron Leftwich goes there. I'm completely out on Trevor Lawrence as a dynasty asset. I think I'm already halfway there. I think if Leftwich goes there, rookie head coach, difficult system, like you said, I think I'm gone, like completely. I'd rather just have the other rookie quarterbacks in that class. I think. I just want to. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'll still grab Lawrence in like startups and stuff. I think that's completely reasonable. Well, yes, that's we add that caveat on everything. Yes, it's always depending
what
on
I'm saying
where.
is if people are still grabbing him in like the second, third, I'm not.
And they will
yeah. Anyway, all I know is Jim Harbaugh is going to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
So that actually ties into what Luke Veer was saying. Like Gerard Mayo is set to interview. He's the former linebacker. Again, Billy, he played. But Rich Bisaccia, I think, deserves the right to have the job. I think Bisaccia handled Gruden thing, Ruggs, all that stuff. He took that team, and they were competitive right down to the end.
They would have beat the Bengals if they didn't blow that whistle. So yeah.
Well, hey, whoa.
That's a joke.
Whoa. But I think he, damn Jacob, trying to eat while we're on the air, and I hear forks.
Jacob's running a fight club down in the basement.
This is what happens when I do a podcast doubleheader. You guys are talking. I try to take one incognito bite, and all of a sudden I spill half the freaking shit around me.
I think there's a name right now that isn't as popular as it was. I think even just a week ago, and it's Kellen Moore. I know there was an article that came out. I think it was today where it said he's not expected back, which no shit. But he's going to be the last person we talk about. Where does he go at this point? Does he go to the Dolphins? Does Kellen Moore go to the Vikings? Does Kellen Moore? Where does he go? And the Broncos? Like, where does he go? And
Broncos are down.
I want to do two.
Broncos seem clearly down to two names. It's either going to be Dan Quinn or Nathaniel Hackett.
Dan Quinn.
For anyone not familiar, everybody knows Dan Quinn, except for Billy, of course. I don't know if you're aware, but Dan Quinn used to coach the Atlanta Falcons.
I want to break something.
Anyway, and then Nathaniel Hackett,
Billy's gonna
who others.
quit.
Now, Billy definitely knows who Nathaniel Hackett is, but others might be less familiar.
Who?
Nathaniel Hackett. Mike Jones.
Mike Jones!
Anyway, Nathaniel Hackett, former Jaguars offensive coordinator, current Packers offensive coordinator. He's also getting a second interview in Denver. But I think that the Kellen Moore versus Todd Bowles had an epic showdown in back-to-back weeks for who can have the worst call in the last play of a game to eliminate themselves from head coaching consideration. Like, Kellen Moore put the QB draw, and then Todd Bowles was like, watch this zero blitz. Right. They did a great job of maintaining their current roles as coordinators. I think the Moore thing is an interesting one, where he went from like 3 weeks ago, everybody was like, he has to get hired as a head coach. And now people are like, he should get fired as an offensive coordinator in Dallas. I think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think that he is a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a perfect offensive coordinator. And I don't think he's ready to be a head coach just yet. I would like to see more, but I also don't think that firing him in Dallas makes a lot of sense unless you can bring in someone obviously better. I think if he goes anywhere, it's the Vikings, just based on what I've heard that there's mutual interest in that job. But I think that he's out of consideration with the Broncos, and the Miami Dolphins, I think from the sounds of it, might be leaning towards Mike Jones, Mike McDaniel, who's the coolest man in the entire world.
Mike Jones.
Which, by the way, means
Lamar Jackson did that first.
If Mike McDaniel ends up with the Dolphins, then we know that we'll be going into preseason with no idea who the Dolphins starting running back is. And B, we know that whoever it is going to have 1,500 yards.
Yeah, 100%.
For anyone that doesn't know, he is the run game savant for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco.
I think Kellen Moore makes a lot of sense for the Saints. I don't think he would want to take that job, but someone like if you're going to compete with what that offense is about to be, like, you want someone who can make a lot from nothing. And I think out of every person right now who's gained a lot of love as a potential head coach, they're all defensive minded.
Yeah,
which
Vance Joseph.
Like that seems like a big piece going around.
The Vance Joseph
right
thing is ridiculous. He wasn't even a good defensive coordinator.
I know.
He was a sub-average defensive coordinator in Miami, a horrible head coach in Denver, and then a mediocre defensive coordinator in Arizona. Like, look, and the crazy thing is, okay, I shouldn't even say this. I don't know who Van Joseph must be great at managing up, because in a league, like we just talked about, frickin' Eric Bieniemy is like number one on this list, but in a league that has done absolutely nothing for black coach advancement and continually defers and passes up on great black head coaching candidates and then fires them too early. I gotta say, if there's like one guy who I wouldn't hire out of, like, it would be Vance Joseph. I don't understand.
And Todd Bowles.
At least Bowles has coached good defenses. Vance Joseph isn't even a good defensive coordinator.
I don't know. He called that nickel blitz and left Cooper Kupp one-on-one in the slot. I just never.
I don't know what y'all are saying.
I do want to mention Eric Bieniemy. It seems like he's just kind of there until Reed's gone.
Is he the worst interview of all time? I don't understand.
I don't know,
but I don't even honestly, think it's that.
I think he just wants to be there with Patrick Mahomes forever, which good for you. I think he's doing the Josh McDaniels. McDaniels is never leaving New England at this point. So that was the last couple. That was the last couple things I wanted to mention before we go. Obviously, as we mentioned, Ben McAdoo was hired, and then Joe Schoen was hired as the Giants' new manager.
Which means that we might see Dable in New York. I think that increases the odds of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that more.
Good for them.
We didn't really get to Gabriel Davis today, but Lord knows we're going to have so much time. Does he not have a head coach? Bieniemy? No.
I think he's talking about Gerard. Is he talking about Gerard Mayo? Oh, Bieniemy. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So I was going to say this, but we were cutting to the end. So I'm going to jump in now that Bieniemy's back and talked up. I legitimately think it's because Bieniemy isn't available to do all these interviews. Like he's always coaching in the Super Bowl. Like why? Think about teams are already doing their finalist interviews without even talking to Bieniemy because he's focused on prepping for the biggest thing. Also, I do really like the Ryan Poles hire for the Bears.
Right, we didn't get to that one either, but Dustin Ross comes in. Also, shout out Dustin. I see you back in here, homie.
What's up, man?
Also love the Ryan Poles hire for the Bears GM job. Yeah. Look, the day that we're going to do the giveaway is going to be the first day we kick off the rookie event. That is when we will do the Saquon Barkley giveaway. I'm gonna rush the exit here. So we're gonna do the giveaway the day of the rookie event. Next week I will tell you how it's going to go down, and from there you'll be able to start getting in on it. We are going to have a fantasy walkabout on Saturday afternoon live. That'll be the new time for that. It should be 3:00 standard time. Hopefully we can get that settled with our mate on the other side of the planet, Tom Lee. I mean, we didn't get to Gabriel Davis, guys, but if you're going to have a final thought, let's make a teaser for what's to come next week when we dive in next week with Gabe Davis and some player talk. Just a quick little something.
Gabe Davis is 22 years old, caught 4 touchdowns in a game with the oldest wide receiving core in the league. He has every opportunity to blow up in a very powerful offense.
Jacob?
Yeah. I agree with everything Billy said, but yes, my quick take. There's a difference between targets and routes. If you're calling him a 10% target share player, I think it's disingenuous. He's not Brian Edwards or Jalen Guyton, who's out there playing every snap, running wind sprints. When he's had opportunities, he's earned targets. If you look at what he's done with his opportunities and Emmanuel Sanders with his opportunities, I think we can confidently say that they played the wrong player in Emmanuel Sanders and Gabe Davis was better. They should have played him the whole time. They learned from that in the postseason. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's a good player.
My quick thought, it goes like this. No matter what metrics you want to use, whether it's points per game, where he had 10 or 11 through the season, whether it's points per game, whether it's targets per route run, whatever, you should not use one game to secure your confirmation bias and make a quick decision. Gabriel Davis was great, but what do we say? He put up 52 points in a quarter in 3 minutes. It was after some starters had gotten hurt, right? Double coverage going and right. All these things can be true while also saying that he's a buy or a value. But my only comment is don't use this game as confirmation bias and start doing some crazy shit. Shout out Luke Vera. Have a great night. Remember that forward progress and the whistle is all arbitrary. Fair enough. I love that. Look, that's going to do it for us. We're going to talk more Gabriel Davis. We're going to talk more about that on the Fantasy Walkabout, which is a process-driven show. Tom Lee and I are going to kick off the offseason. Look, from your host here, Thomas Tipple FF, from a big stretched out, looking like he needs a nap, Big Billy FF. From a man on the West Coast, yeah, no kidding. And from our man on the West Coast, FF_RTDB, that's Jacob Sanderson. Check out all his stuff everywhere. I want to remind everybody that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose, and that your best days, they're spent tilting. This is season 2, everybody, episode 1. Happy to be back. See everyone next time. Much love. Stay healthy and stay safe. Ciao for now.
Take it easy.